hey guys, it's me, Mr. Egotistical. Um, I think it's been a pretty long time since I last got on here and really talked about stuff, so I figured I'm in a very thinking mood right now, and I can't really sleep. So I figured, why not hop on and just sorry, I think I'm a little too loud, but yeah, why not hop on and just talk about stuff, talk about how I'm feeling. And I guess I just wanted to say, like, it's been, sorry if I keep turning the mic quality down, or mic, not mic quality, mic volume, but how things have been, because I've been taking a look back on my YouTube channel and I've been thinking, like, it's very dead, kind of. And I mean, I completely understand that, I mean, I'll get back into uploading at some point whenever I feel like it, but, it's just, I've been thinking, and life used to be very different than how it is now, and I wonder, you know, like, what happened, where did it all go? But, I mean, if you guys have seen the last little bit of my videos and stuff, and anybody that watched any of that stuff, I mean, it only has like 20 views at most, but a lot of my old vent videos, a lot happened to me, at least mentally and kind of physically, within the last, I'd say, year of me being active on this channel. I partially lost confidence in myself making FNF covers, and so that's why I figured, like, I do something else. And so, yeah, it's just weird, I guess, Like, I think about it, but life still hasn't gotten any better, And I am still disregarded by most of my friends. I still am unhappy with anything I create, obviously. And my personal life, like my life hasn't gotten any better either. I mean, I traveled a bit. I spent a good fair bit amount traveling that I didn't even tell anybody about. I've been going around a lot, going places, trying to see more things. Obviously, has not really worked that well. I haven't seen much, but you know, progress is progress, I assume. But yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else to talk like about outside of just like, damn, where did the time go? Am I right? I've been realizing a lot of flaws within myself, but also the people around me recently, and it kind of just seems like most of my life, at least, where I'm at and what I'm surrounded by, it's kind of coming to an end, isn't it? Like it's nothing's getting better. I mean, some things are. I reconnected with someone recently that I've been missing for a really long time, and that's been nice, but I don't think it's gonna last. I think I'm gonna mess something up, and everything else. My best friend, I'm not really close to him anymore. I'm a bad friend to him, but I think he's sometimes also a bad guy to me. But has a weird noise, but it's complicated, and I'm stuck. I can't fix it. Nothing's gonna get better in that category, and I just have to realize that most of my life, maybe it's time to just let go of it. Maybe it's time to forget what happened, not so that I can start anew and live as a changed, fixed man, but just because maybe things should be over. Maybe it's time that things just stop and don't go on from here. And oh, look, Brody being all edgy, all black video, recording about his life. Well, that's what I think everybody would say, at least. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's just really weird. It's very, very um odd. It's just, maybe it's time to give up. I know that that's not very hopeful, and maybe in the future, if there's a future, like where I continue to upload, maybe I'll make a video contradicting myself here and, going like, correcting myself, being like, oh, well, actually, this is the reason. But it's like, I think just, not that life is not beautiful. it's just not beautiful enough for me, you know? Mine isn't. Like, you know, I think there's beautiful things to see out there. I don't see them. I think life is nice because you could be, like free and go places and see things and be with people, but I don't do that. It's not that I don't try, it's that I literally can't. And even then, when people can't connect physically or can't live like normally like that, it's like they figure out other ways and they go on the internet and try to find friends. But my life on the internet it isn't much better. Like it's not like anything's been fixed. And in fact, I think sometimes it's brought me more problems and more harm than good. But I mean, what can I say? I can't fix it. It's over. I'm too far gone. I don't think it's gonna be over yet, but sometimes I just think, and it's like I'm not with the person that I care most about. I'm a jealous man. I'm a disregarded man. Uh, sorry, but yeah, that's it. You know, I keep saying that's it, like I'm gonna stop recording, but yeah, like well, where's there to go from here? There's nothing to do. Mm, not anymore, and not that I can do. And I just can't believe that this has all happened. Like I think back because obviously I'm getting towards that age, but it's like I think back to when I was a kid, and even then I was really sad. But I always used to think like, damn, shit's gonna progress. I'm gonna have my circle of friends. I'm gonna be this big hotshot cool guy and burst out of like my bad life now. Like obviously I said that back then, but that people with the sad backstories, people like underdogs. They succeed and they push up, but that's not what happened to me. I'm not a hero, and I'm not important. You know, just weird. It's just weird. Sometimes like think if I could get one thing right now, what would it be? But I can't even really say because I feel like if you say too much of like a broad thing, like if I say happiness, that's really broad of a term. But I still can't come up with an answer. There's too many things, and there's too. It feels like there's too little. I don't know. It sounds like me trying to be thought provoking, but uh, it's odd. Do you guys think that at the end of, well, not at the end, but when we're done with all this, that better things are gonna follow suit? Like is there whatever you're going through now? I mean, this too shall pass, but does that mean that what you're passing to is better? Or does it mean that what's happening in the current moment is just ending now? Hmm. I don't know. I really can't say. Like, what do you think? Because I know that it's a very negative view on it, but it's like, and obviously, if you're saying this too shall pass, it's like, oh, sadness can't go to more sadness. But I don't think that life is that simple to be shortened down into short terms as good times and bad times. I mean, you can say that, but that's for more when you're just in a passing moment. But if you really think about it, life has lots of different stages and feels to it. And I mean, obviously, I guess you could just say, oh, did you have a good day or did you have a bad day? But sometimes there's a lukewarm, sometimes certain things happen, sometimes there's a give and take. And if this too shall pass, does that mean that I can have a bad day that can go into a worse day? Or do I have a bad day that can go into a lukewarm day and then back to a bad day? You know, like, or are they talking about large amounts of time in general? I think it's meant to refer to everything, but if you like, if it's a large amount of time, if I go through a really big down phase, what if I just go to a very mid phase or a very lonely phase? You know, what if there's not like a good continuation of that? What if it's just more of the same? You know what I'm saying? Like, well, not more of the exact same. I keep trying to like correct myself, because I don't want to be seen as like an idiot. But it's like, I just wonder if it's like, hmm, like I wonder, is this what I fought for? Is this what I pushed in life to do? I know as a kid, I struggled with a lot of things. And, obviously one of those things is the idea, do I keep going or not? And as a kid, I would definitely push forward thinking maybe it'll get better or that I don't have the strength to do this yet. But now I ask myself, did things get better? No. But do I have the strength to do it? Maybe, you know? Maybe that's like the point. Maybe that was the point of me continuing all along, just waiting for the right moment. And that sounds really sad. I don't know. But it just sucks, Like, I know life's been sad, but 3 days ago, 4 days ago, dude, I was laughing so hard. I was having great times, man. I was living, I was doing stuff, you know, and it felt like everyone cared. It felt like I was making progress, but just gets ripped out of my hand because of insincerity and the cruelty of what I lived through. Maybe, we're not. Maybe certain people just aren't meant to continue in certain things, Maybe there is an ending point, like a specific one for certain people, Maybe everyone is meant to go at some time. Maybe, you know, there's a fading and it's inevitable. And I mean, we all know that, good things can't, like, like last forever. I mean, sometimes they can, but the idea that there's an end to stuff is both a true and untrue statement for me. But there is a kind of dropping point, or at least some type of big event that you could see as the end for all things. And I wonder if maybe I was just destined to have an ending point for certain things earlier than others. I mean, I made it further than other people did, but I'm also not making it as long as, a lot of people did. So that's the problem here. I wonder when I look at these things that are happening in my life, do I keep going? Do I change? Do I make it change? Is there some type of difference to be made here that is plausible? Or is it just time to close the curtain and leave the stage? You know what I mean? There's still plenty of people out there. It's not like, me quitting would be the end of all things, related to it. You think about that. But I was going to ask you, like, do you think that do you think it's right to sometimes blame yourself subconsciously just because you're afraid or are so used to being the one that's in the wrong? Do you think that because I am so used to being the bad guy that I call myself the bad guy because I can't think of any other reason that there's like any other ending to the situation? Or do you think that it's like, do you think I actually am a bad guy? Like, am I a bad person surrounded by other bad people? And if so, do I deserve to quit? Do I deserve what I intend to do to me? Is that my dropping point that I spoke of? Is there something afterwards as a remedy for what I've built, for what I went through? Or do I just go through these things for no reward? If karma doesn't exist, then there was no hope to begin with, or there was no point. Being good, going through bad things, having a hard life, it doesn't make it so that you have an easier life later. It doesn't make it, and I mean, I guess you could say it makes you stronger, but sometimes you can't do it like that. If I drop a rock on your head and tell you to, and it's like 4,000 pounds, and I tell you to hold it up, does that make you stronger? I mean, probably, but is there still a likely chance that it's going to crush you? Yeah, because I pushed you too much. I put too much onto you, and that's gonna hurt, you know? I just think it's odd, you know? I used to always think, or I had this weird view in life that nothing changes and I'm going to be bad forever. But one time I met somebody who really pushed my view the other way. I think back about him now, and I remember everything that he would tell me, and his laugh, the way he talked, how he viewed things despite his life, his situation. It was inspiring. Made me think that maybe there was still hope for me there. But I've spoken to that same man recently after he's been punished by time and, gone through hardships, and his view's different. He thinks some things just aren't worth saving. Not everybody can change. Some people are just the way they are. And I know that I kind of believed in that originally, but is it weird to feel like I've lost a lot of hope because a form of purity and good in my eyes has been tarnished? I just wonder if there's some kind of ending to all of this. If there's something worth all that I go through. But I think honestly no. As I said, karma isn't real. It's not. There's no tally being counted for every bad thing versus every good thing, but I don't understand. Maybe I'm just really hungry right now. I could go for something to eat, but there's nothing in my house right now. I don't know. I just wonder if I do this now, is this going to be a mistake? Am I going to miss something if I quit while I'm ahead? And sorry for making weird noises. It's just like imagine I quit, I'm done, and then the next day it's the best day that the universe has ever seen. Then I'm gonna miss it. But if I keep staying like this, I'll wake up and it'll just be another bad day for me. You know? Sorry. Well, it's just odd. There's so many obstacles that I have to go through. It's just like if it's all obstacles, then if yeah, I don't know. I I don't know how to explain what I'm saying. It's just there's too much to push through, and there's no remedy. There's no hope for me. There's no hope for whatever I'm going through. It's gonna end just like everyone else, or worse, and then I'll be, I don't know, but it's just odd to think about. Thinking about the people that I talked to so long ago. I wonder how they would feel. I mean, they probably wouldn't care, you know. They haven't known me recently, and they only knew a specific version of me that isn't around anymore because, I've changed. Well, maybe not for the better, maybe not for the worse, and maybe I haven't, but bodily, I was different, you know. I guess viewpoint, I was different too. So I guess I did change. It's weird. Just like, I need like a sign or something. I need someone to tell me, you know. Well, I'll see you later. I've got to think about this.